Let's jump right into this explainer. If you've been spending any time in the OpenClaw ecosystem, you already know the frustration, right? Standard AI models are fantastic at generating text, but they really struggle to actually do the work. Well, today we are looking at DeepBot. It's a self-hosted AI agent that literally transforms your chat models into genuine enterprise system operators. Just think about your current automated workflows for a second. We all know standard AI models are incredible at parsing data and generating text, but they almost always hit a brick wall when you actually need them to touch your company's documents, update a spreadsheet, or just automate a local task. You always end up having to write all that integration glue yourself, don't you?
And that brings us to the core shift we're exploring today, moving from an AI that just talks to an AI that actually works. With over 1.8 thousand stars on GitHub, DeepBot is definitely not just another conversational wrapper. It is a persistent system-level agent designed specifically for enterprise workflows.
Here's exactly how we're going to unpack DeepBot's capabilities today. We've got 1. Beyond the chat interface. 2. Inside DeepBot's 14 tools. 3. Multi-agent parallelism. 4. Enterprise integration and security. And finally, 5. Powering OpenClaw workflows. So let's get right to it.
Section 1. Beyond the chat interface. Redefining the AI agent. Let's quickly establish the problem with current AI assistants and see how DeepBot provides a fundamentally different solution.
There's a really stark contrast between a standard AI interface just sitting there waiting for your input and DeepBot, which operates as a persistent agent. A standard wrapper serializes tasks, meaning you ask, you wait, it responds, pretty basic. DeepBot, on the other hand, utilizes multi-agent parallelism and operates on your local files natively. It doesn't just read about your systems, it actually lives inside them.
Section 2. Inside DeepBot's 14 tools, the hands of the operation. Now let's explore exactly how DeepBot physically interacts with your environment. So, DeepBot ships with exactly 14 built-in tools right out of the box. And we aren't talking about simple prompt modifiers here. These are robust capabilities spanning 8 different operational domains. This completely eliminates that absolute nightmare of having to write custom integration code from scratch. It goes way beyond just browsing the web. DeepBot physically reads and writes your system files and even executes shell scripts. And if your team uses Feishu, also known as Lark, this is a total game changer. DeepBot natively authenticates, reads, and writes documents autonomously. It even features cron-based task scheduling. You can think of it like a built-in alarm clock, allowing the AI to wake itself up and perform recurring tasks with absolutely zero human intervention. Moving on to Section 3. Multi-agent parallelism explained, doing everything at once. Let's look at a feature that completely changes the pacing of your automated workflows. Let's face it, most AI workflows are painfully linear, but with multi-agent parallelism, DeepBot acts more like a fully coordinated team. Instead of waiting for a single response, you can have your morning data report pulling from 3 different databases while simultaneously fetching web data and updating a Feishu document, all at the exact same time without them blocking one another. This is where you really start seeing that true enterprise-grade efficiency.
Section 4. Enterprise integration and security. Safe and native operations. Now, for IT professionals, handing over system access to an AI can be absolutely terrifying, right? Let's look at how DeepBot locks things down.
Security is fundamentally baked into its architecture through strict path whitelists. This ensures that if the agent is running on a server that also holds sensitive production databases, it absolutely cannot touch anything outside its explicitly assigned directory. Even if the AI model gets confused or, is maliciously prompted to explore the file system, the architectural sandbox will just outright reject the request. To deploy this safely, you really have incredible flexibility. You aren't locked into just one AI provider. You can plug in API keys for OpenAI, Anthropic's Claude, or QN directly into the .env file. For deployment, you could use the Electron desktop app for local Mac OS or Windows use, or a streamlined Docker container for headless servers exposing a web UI on port 3008. But hey, here is a vital technical detail, and don't let this trip you up. You are always going to need Python 3.11 or higher installed on the host machine to make the magic happen, regardless of whether you're using the Node.js Electron app or Docker.
Which brings us to Section 5. Powering OpenClaw workflows, the brain and the hands. Finally, let's tie this all back to why this is so deeply relevant for the OpenClaw ecosystem.
By following these 3 steps, you create an incredibly powerful synergy. First, you define a complex, multi-tool skill in DeepBot, say checking error logs and summarizing them. Next, you schedule it with a cron job. And then you route those results into OpenClaw, which handles the delivery to your Telegram or Discord channel. You entirely replace the need for those custom, fragile, always-on scripts, and instead, you let DeepBot's long-term memory layer handle the persistent context for your OpenClaw pipelines.
This creates the ultimate separation of concerns. OpenClaw basically acts as the brain and the sophisticated communicator, intelligently routing user requests and managing that conversational interface. Meanwhile, DeepBot acts as the hands. It's securely operating within the local system, executing the actual heavy lifting directly on your enterprise platforms.
So, as you build out your enterprise workflows, you've got to consider if it's time to upgrade your deployment from a simple conversational wrapper to a true system-level operator. Because when you combine the communication routing of OpenClaw with the system-level execution of DeepBot, you aren't just chatting about work anymore, you're actually getting it done. So, what's it going to be? Will you keep your AI trapped in a browser tab, or are you ready to give it the hands it needs to actually operate your infrastructure?